folks. It has been a while, but we are finally back. Welcome to another edition of the United Spurs of America podcast, joined by your hosts as always, Michael Ramirez alongside Jacob the Ball Raven. We hope you all are staying safe out there. Obviously, some unprecedented times once again around the world, not only affecting football, but obviously humanity as a whole. So yes, it has been a while. Tottenham Hotspur are finally back in the Premier League. It has been far too long, obviously, in our opinion. Last match for Tottenham Hotspur, December 5th, which seems like an eternity ago. But yes, Tottenham are finally back, and they're back with a 2-2 draw against none other than Liverpool FC. Obviously, not a very good recent record. We've dropped points in the last 8 matches against Liverpool. They were unbeaten in their last 8 against Tottenham. But yeah, we're finally back, people. Jacob, it's been a while, man. I'm so glad to be back with you talking about this godforsaken football club. But hey, we actually do have a lot of positives to talk about today.
When I was thinking about it, I was thinking about this a lot, right? 2 months ago, it didn't seem like a draw against Liverpool was realistic. That was kind of a hope, right? That we could get something like that. So the fact that we pulled out a 2-2 draw, my Heung-min daddy scored. Harry Kane got on the score sheet. I mean, I think he got tired. What I also found interesting, he didn't bag anything against the Watfords, the Brentfords. But when it comes to the West, Liverpool, hey, he's going to score that. And he did. And I'm really happy for the guy. You could tell he was really happy. You could see the relief kind of coming off of his face as he's sliding. His slide was a little junky, but hey, I was hyped, bro. And I know you were just probably a little bit more hyped than I was when Harry Kane got that. But I mean, none other than Tongi Ndom Thickcock with the fucking through ball from I want to say the monastery. He just took it, man. Oh man, he was like a grandma out there cutting in between there. So it was beautiful goal for Harry Kane. So really happy. A lot of positives. Like I said, Sonny, he got on the score sheet. He, got in the head of Allison a little bit, and I like to see it. Allison's a top-notch keeper. I really think he and Hugo Lloris were the two guys that kind of kept both teams in the game, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of really, really good saves throughout the match, and we'll definitely get to that a little bit later. But yes, Jacob, like you mentioned, Harry Kane did open the scoring in the 13th minute, and Heung-min Hung, Hyun-min Son, Heung-min Dad scored in the 74th minute to equalize at that point in the match 2-2. Liverpool goal scorers, Diogo Jota with a, to be fair, beautiful header in the 35th minute to equalize after the Kane opener. And Andy Robertson took the lead for Liverpool early on in the second half in the 69th minute before, like I mentioned, Heung-min Hung, Hyun-min Son, Heung-min Dad equalized later in the 74th. And there was a lot of VAR drama. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. But first and foremost, like we said, 2-2 draw today with Liverpool at home at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And yeah, man, it's a lot of positives to take away. Let's get into this 11 first off. Spurs playing in a 5-3-2 formation, kind of into a 3-5-2 hybrid for most of the match. But yeah, man, Hugo in net, obviously, as always, in goal. A lot of this team was obviously hit by positive COVID cases. I think it was up to at least 9 at one point at one time of positive cases within the Tottenham camp. So some players were not in the 11 due to fitness or COVID issues, still recovering. And then there was also some players that we'll get into in a little bit as well, who were actually left out of the 18 entirely, who still need to recover from positive cases of COVID-19 and also fitness issues, like we mentioned. But Emerson Royale starting at right back, Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, and Ben Davies to round out the back three, like usual, like we've seen so many times under the Conte reign this season. Ryan Sessegnon gets his first start at left wing back for what seems like forever. I believe it was the first start for him since 2019, I believe, for Tottenham. Tongi Ndombele, Tongi Ndom Thickcock, Ndom Longschlong, Ndom Thick Dick, whatever you want to call him, starts in midfield. He enters the frame due to other players being out, like we mentioned, due to COVID and fitness issues. He plays alongside Harry Winks and Dele Alli today, who also started pretty much for the same reasons. And Harry Kane and Hyun-min Hung rounded out the attack for Tottenham Hotspur. But yeah, man, getting into this 11, first off, Jacob, what were some of your initial reactions when the team sheet came out? For me, obviously, you got to look at Hyun-min Hung and H Daddy starting up top. But for me personally, I love a little bit of Endom thick cock in my life. That was kind of the first thing that I saw. What about you?
The first thing that stood out to me, I think, was just first the photo that they used was Deli Alley. And so then that initially told me that Deli would be starting. So I was like, okay, oh shit. And then I saw Winks, and then I saw Ndombele, and I was kind of like, wow, okay. I guess this COVID thing's kind of forced a little bit of makeshift. And but in all reality, man, I don't care what lineup goes out there. I fucking trust Antonio Conte to put
Yep.
the best foot forward, the best players out there. I think he's going to put us in the best positions. And today was just an example of that. We were able to get a point out of a club who is fighting for the Premier League title. And it's a
Yep.
three-headed race that's going on. And we're not a part of that. But hell, if we beat the guys who are up top right now, Man City, we beat them. We just drew with Liverpool. So, hey, man, anything can happen. We did get smacked by Chelsea, but I mean, we had Nuno. So for me, this just says a lot about Antonio Conte and just kind of the way everyone responded. Like I said, you know, Hyungmin Daddy out there and Harry Kane is pretty much a given for me. If that's not the case, then I'm wondering what's going on and what's wrong. But to see Ryan Sessegnon, I thought, okay, maybe Region's sick, but no, he was on the bench. So for me,
Yeah.
it was like maybe he saw something that we never thought about. But guess what? Mohamed Salah did not get on the score sheet. And
Yep.
how many games in a row has he been scoring? So my point being, Ryan Sessegnon, you are that man. Like he is that dude. And we've been high on this man. We were a little like, I don't know. Hopefully he can pull it back whenever he got that was it 39th minute second yellow card.
Mhm.
But man, this game, I thought he really stepped it up. Also surprised me, Harry Winks was doing really good. He turned the ball over in some really precarious areas, but I mean, I thought he was really aggressive and he played like he wanted to play for Tottenham Hotspur, quite frankly. And that's something that we haven't
Yeah.
seen from him in quite some time. So that was welcome. Dele Alli was all over the place in a good way. We could argue all day. Should he have finished that shot? Should he have not? There's a beautiful angle they showed from behind Dele Alli. That's on goal, bro.
Yeah, it's going in.
Allison got just a little tip of his dick on there and steered it away. So I feel really bad for Doug. And there was another chance, I think in the second half that he had.
Yeah. I think it was an
Uh,
Eric Dyer ping ball that he settled on his chest and ended up losing control. And
Tried to pass it
I
to
think
Harry.
in that opportunity, or I guess I don't necessarily want to say that turnover, but that sequence of events ended up leading to that Robertson goal. Remember?
Yeah, it was
So
very
it,
quick. It was very quick. I thought he took a little bit of it. I thought he went down kind of easy, if I'm being really honest. I try and look at
yeah,
it from a neutral standpoint. He went down pretty easy, a little bit easier than I thought Diogo Jota went down, which had Jurgen Klopp all fired up post game. But I thought that was funny hearing him, just complain about what we did. We got in there and we ruckused his head a little bit. Antonio Conte, I mean, it's the magic. Like, what else can we call it?
yep. Yeah, and it was interesting, man, because the team sheets came out for both Tottenham and Liverpool like they do usually an hour before the match, and we see Tottenham's 11. We're like, okay, I think I had the same kind of reaction as you. To me, I have a totally different reaction to these team sheets than when Nuno was our manager for obvious reasons, right? We
Mhm.
just have a way better manager right now. We have a world class manager at our hands who, like you mentioned, man, we put our trust in Antonio Conte because he's earned that right just by the amount of silverware that he's won, the manner in which he's won that silverware, and the dominance that we've seen in recent history from his teams. I have that same reaction as you, man. Whoever is going out there on the team on that team sheet and on that in that 11 initially, I know that they're going to fight for the badge, and if not, Conte's going to pull their asses right out of the match, like we've seen before. So it's not there's not going to be any BS going on, especially with Conte at the helm. But
That's a good point that you bring up. I want to touch on real quick. The difference in, I mean, even when we had Jose Mourinho, a guy that we're all saying yes is a serial winner, right? Even when we had him, we were still like, why is Sanchez starting over this guy? Why is Dyer in there? Why is there Winks? Why is there this? What we still questioned it, and it wasn't even like something clicked for me. It was just like, man, this is Antonio Conte's lineup. If they're gonna play like ass, we'll never see them again. And quite frankly,
mhm.
all the guys, I'm not even worried anymore when I see Eric Dyer on the team sheet. That's what Antonio Conte has been able to do with our defense, no less. I'm not as worried when I see Sanchez. I'm a little bit like I'd rather see Tanganga or Roden, but that's another conversation. But when I see these guys, Ben Davies, most improved player. I mean, these are all things that Antonio Conte has just made me feel at ease about. So I just wanted to touch on the fact that, like, isn't that pretty special that we are now in a place where we're just like, all right, this is fine. Winks, okay, that's cool. I wasn't even that concerned. It was more just, what's Antonio Conte gonna do?
Yeah.
And by golly, they did what he wanted him to do. I mean, it could have been 6-2 easily, easily. I
Yeah.
thought a couple times Youngman Daddy um, didn't look 100% confident in what he was trying to do. Uh, you know, there's a few opportunities out there, but overall, man, I'm still really happy because, like I said, 2 months ago, you would ask me what I thought this result. I mean, I even on the live stream that we have with Tottenham away on their YouTube channel, Spurs Atlantic, the little show that we host. I don't know if you tune in from there. If you do, thank you for the crossover. But yeah, they we've talked about it on there anyway. So
Yeah, no, definitely. And even this morning, I had put in the group chat that I actually thought we were going to lose 2-0. Liverpool was also hit with COVID issues and injuries. They were missing Virgil van Dijk, Thiago, Fabinho, a whole bunch of guys who do usually start. Jordan Henderson as well.
we're
I
missing
believe
our
he was
top
out.
center back too.
He was out through illness. So both teams were hit with COVID and fitness issues. So I think there wasn't really that much of an advantage between the two. Both were
Mm-hmm.
missing star players. You can make an argument for that both of these were not severely but partially weakened squads. But hey, Liverpool still had a trio of Sadio Mane, Diogo Jota, and Mohamed Salah up top. That's about as good as you can get in the Premier League these days. I
And
mean,
they even
no
brought in
no easy feat.
Firmino. They
No
yeah,
easy feat.
they had some of their best guys. We had some of our best guys. They were missing some of their best guys. We were missing some of our best guys. It's just the way it goes. And unfortunately, the times that we're living in with COVID and everything. But I, I I don't buy the excuse. And if they want to talk about, I mean, I was listening to the post game and Jurgen Klopp going on about what happened with Diego Jota at the end of the first half there. Why wasn't Harry Kane's this and that? Like, I'm sorry if I'm not mistaken. Pochettino got suspended, if I'm not mistaken, for going at the refs, right? Post game,
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah,
gassing them up.
I think it was after a Newcastle match a few years ago.
Yeah, and he got what, like a 4 game ban,
Yeah.
and I think because Jurgen Klopp is just he's Jurgen, and that's kind of, I mean, fucking Jurgens, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm not buying all the like, oh well, we were this, we were that. I mean, we haven't even heard from our friend Garrett Melser. Shout out Garrett Melser. He's a Liverpool fan. We haven't even heard from the guy. I think he's still pretty upset.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And back to the results, as just focusing on the actual result, obviously getting a point at home against a team like Liverpool, you mentioned, man, it's a three-headed race right now for that Premier League title. They're obviously right in the thick of it. So look, you can look at it this way. We had plenty of opportunities, should have won, like you mentioned, Jacob, arguably 6-2. Whole bunch of chances that we didn't take advantage of, both in the first and second half. But you look back on it, and like you said, if you would have told me that we would have drawn 2-2 against Liverpool at home, I would have taken it. Right now, Liverpool's in second place with 41 points. They're only 3 points behind Man City right now. And they both have the same amount of games played. Obviously, we're game in hand FC right now, but you look at the schedule, and we mentioned this on the live stream as well. I'm looking at these next 5 games. How many points are we getting from these games?
Yeah,
And we looked
exactly.
at this. We looked at this Liverpool match, and I don't think there was a person besides Ellie the Viking.
I
Shout
was
out
gonna
Ellie from
say
Tottenham
Ellie.
away,
Ellie's the
who
only
who
one.
who predicted any sort of result against a team like Liverpool. Everyone else was pretty much counting us out. I mean, and to be fair, us included, we're realistic people. We have to
Mhm.
be non-biased on most of these occasions when we talk to you guys on record and on air. We have to keep it real with y'all. You know
You
what I
gotta keep it
mean? Like
100,
we're
bro. You gotta keep it
we're we're
100.
we're Tottenham fans, obviously, and we love the boys in Lily White, but I'm not gonna sit here and say we were gonna batter Liverpool 5-0 at home. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, man, you look at this game a few weeks ago, even last week, even yesterday, even this morning, and you ask, hey, Are we going to get a result against Liverpool? I would have told you, yeah, probably not. But you know what? I want to see a positive performance. Luckily, we did both. We got a result, a solid point at home. Could have been more, yes. But will I take it? Yes. Yes, I
I'll
will
take
indeed.
it too. And
So before we get into these individual performances, I'll let you go ahead and you want to do man of the match?
my man of the match. Okay, so Tottenham puts out like a little four-person voter, right? Little thing
Yep.
on Twitter after the games. Um, and my vote was the least chosen one, but it for me, he just stood out as someone who turned a pretty solid performance. Now, was he the deciding factor in this game? I don't think so. But for me, he's my man of the match, and that's going to be Ryan Sessegnon. I thought he was a difference maker. Honestly, I was quite concerned because I was thinking, okay, he's going to have Trent Alexander-Arnold, arguably one of the best right backs in the league, coming down at his throat. He's going to have Mohamed Salah, arguably the best striker in the league, or forward in the league. I think he's leading in the Golden Boot race.
Yep.
So
He is.
he's lethal. He's a lethal guy. Pretty much if he's out there, they have a chance to score a goal. So I thought he did a really outstanding performance. I think he's going to offer a little bit of competition for Sergio Erlegion because I mean that was pretty good. I don't know what Conte think. I mean Conte's I trust Conte if he chooses who over who, but
Yep.
that was pretty impressive. I didn't see much from Ryan Sessegnon, or excuse me, I didn't see much out of Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold from the side that they played, and quite frankly, I didn't think that they looked that dangerous. Maybe they weren't that interested. Maybe they've been playing too much. But yeah, for me, Ryan Sessegnon is my man of the match. What about you?
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this, man, and as soon as the match ended, I was just kind of sitting back and trying to figure out really who my man of the match was because you look at the performances today, and we'll get more in depth with them in a little bit, but you look at the performances today, and there were just so many positive things to look at when you look at this 11. Um, Hugo made an absolute world class save against a very powerful Trent Alexander Arnold volley, which
Mm,
was I believe late in the first half. Amazing save with his left knee, point blank save, point blank reaction save, if you will. I thought he
yeah,
was outstanding. You look at Emerson; he was getting into dangerous areas. He put in some very dangerous crosses, and there was only a few times where Sadio Mane really beat him to the end line or beat him for an opportunity. You know, obviously it's just tough going against a guy like Sadio Mane, but to be honest, I thought Emerson played well. Sanchez, he got caught out, in my opinion. The Diogo Jota goal was, in my opinion, his fault, along with partially Dele Alli as well. They just didn't really get into a very good defensive position on that goal. But overall, I thought Sanchez played kind of well. Dyer, once again, man, I just think that he put in a very good shift today. Non-biased. You guys know how much what we think about Eric Dyer and how much we think of him. And but like we said, we got to keep it real. And today, I didn't see much wrong from him. You look at Ben Davis. Did he have a howler of a clearance leading up to that Jota goal? Yeah, it wasn't great, but overall, for the most part, once again, very solid. You mentioned Salah didn't have very many chances. I think Trent Alexander Arnold only had a few. He was a bright performance and a bright spot for Liverpool, I will admit. But for the most part, as when you're looking at the big picture, Ben Davis and both, like you mentioned, Ryan Sessegnon, they played great. And Thickcock, he had the brilliant assist to Harry Kane, the absolute beautiful through ball with his third leg. Harry Winks, you mentioned, put in a very good shift today. I will very much agree with that. And like you mentioned, did he give the ball away in dangerous areas? Yeah, and that's exactly what I said at halftime. I said, "Hey, it's been overall a very positive performance from him, from what I've seen, but he's got to stop giving away the ball in those dangerous areas." Dele Alli, you guys know how much I love Dele Alli, and non-biased, I thought he put in a very good performance today against Liverpool. Could he have scored? Should he have scored on that volley early on or excuse me, late in the first half? Yes, most definitely. But hey, again, it was a world class save from a world class keeper. We saw the mistakes that Allison made later on in the match, but overall, I thought Dele Alli played well. Harry Kane was a little bit disappointing overall on the day, but he still got on the score sheet. I thought he was very bright, got into dangerous areas. He just looked like himself. Hyun-Min Hung, I think he had to grow into the match a lot in this game, but in the second half, he was, to be fair, he got into dangerous areas. He was there when he needed to be to pounce on an Allison mistake to finish and equalize for us. But, everyone had their positive bits today. And so
Mhm.
when I'm thinking about the man of the match, it's just so hard to pick one. And I'm actually going to have to agree with you, my friend. I know we usually try to pick different man of the matches, different BDEs just to keep it kind of interesting. But for me, I'm looking at the fact that Mohamed Salah really didn't have very many really clear cut chances throughout the match. And like we mentioned, Trent had very few. He did have some dangerous chances, like we mentioned, the amazing Hugo save, the amazing reaction that he had. But overall, Davies and Sessegnon did a very, very good job neutralizing them on that right hand side of the pitch. I'm
Mhm.
going with Sessegnon, and then I will lead into my BDE of the match. I'm going to go Mr. Harold Winks. I know I've been really, really rough on him in the past. I know you have too, Jacob. To be fair, it was very much well earned criticism. But today, other than the dangerous areas that he lost possession in, I thought he was very, very good in the midfield. Was winning balls. He was everywhere, and he created a lot of chances as well. He had a lot of good forward thinking passes, which we don't really see a whole lot of out of Harry Winks, excuse me, typically. So Sessegnon's my man of the match. BDE, I'm going to give it to Harry Winks. What about you?
Well, it looks like we're in agreement as far as our man of the
We're
match
just we're
goes.
just in sync. We're in sync
I
right now.
mean, we are, even though I listen to Backstreet Boys, we're in sync. I
Yes,
feel it.
sir.
So for me, BDE's got to go to Big Daddy Hugo Lloris, number one. That big long one he's got in between them thighs, saving that shot from Trent Alexander-Arnold. That man
Yep.
is a machine. He is so good that we just expect greatness from him. I was a little bit disappointed by one of the goals. It just didn't seem like he moved, but overall, man, they were just kind of pinging that ball all over the place and playing it left and right. So for me, he had a few outstanding saves that he just realistically just kept us in that game. I mean, without some of those saves, that ends up being 3-1, 4-1. So for me, BDE, the biggest D out there today, Mr. Hugo Lloris.
No, I can definitely agree with that, man. Like we mentioned, he made a lot of world class stops today. Allison had a few good saves as well. We mentioned the Dele Alli chance that he tipped around the bar for a corner, but hey, Hugo was right there with him. And I know we let in two. He was kind of frozen on that Jota goal, but again, I think I would put most of the blame right there on Sanchez, just not getting into that area and
Yeah.
and really not getting up against a much smaller player. And there was another chance later on in early in the second half, I believe, where Jota got over Dyer and Sanchez. He got in between them and still won the ball in the air. So it there's little things obviously that we need to tweak, little things that we need to work on. We're obviously not a perfect side by any means, but yeah, man, I thought overall just a very, very good performance, a very positive performance. It looks like it's just something to build on. Something is definitely brewing right now with Tottenham and Conte, and you can definitely see the difference. It's night and day between the Nuno reign and the Conte reign right now. And yeah, man, it's just so positive to see. Let's get into Harry Kane. Obviously scored the opener in the 13th minute. I mentioned to you during the match, dude, I thought of fucking tearing up when I saw that ball go in the back of the net. When he was running to the corner flag with Emerson, crowd going absolutely nuts in the south stand, right in front of him. Oh my God, man. What can you say? The guy's world class, and he can show it time and time again. Has he been out of form this season? Yes, most definitely. Obviously, it's only his second goal in the Premier League this season, the first being against Newcastle earlier on in the year. But oh man, what were your thoughts when the ball went into the back of the net? What were the emotions going through you?
It felt like a breath I've been waiting to take or
Yeah,
exhale. It just felt like a moment of what, like,
finally.
like I would say, like, dip when you first get in a hot tub or something when it's cold outside and you get in that hot tub and it's like, ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Hmm.
It was nice. It was great. Against Liverpool, no less. That's pretty
Exactly.
up there. I mean, like I've always said, this man is a difference maker in games. Okay. when he wants to, he can take over a game, and it just looked like the the planets aligned for him, right? To
Hmm.
take a Harry Kane type shot, right? That he'd score that 10 out of 10 times the other year last year when he won Golden Boot and playmaker. So he hadn't been making those kinds of shots this season. We've seen him just kind of, quite frankly, fuck those up. And he had a couple headers that I think on his day, he's bagging a hat trick
Hmm.
from some of those opportunities I think that he had. But it's just a good thing to see. It's a good for the, I guess you could say, like pessimistic Harry Kane supporter like me. Um, it's just very good to see because man, this guy's like water. Once you turn that faucet on, that thing will start flowing and you can't
Hmm.
stop it. You can't put a band-aid over it to stop it. That man's just gonna ooze goals and just leak them out all over the place. And for me, it's just a good sign to see him scoring. One of the goals that he's known for scoring, that he can score, always scores, that he hasn't been scoring lately. So for me, man, that was a good moment. I just felt like we just went one up against Liverpool. I did not see that coming, let alone Harry Kane being the one. I mean, just like I didn't expect Davinson Sanchez get on the score sheet with a fucking meat rocket. So for me, bro, I'm relieved, Maybe it's like whenever you're at the pub, you're at the bar, you're drinking, right? And you're drinking, and once you go to the bathroom that first time, man, all of a sudden you start going to the bathroom a lot more throughout the rest of
Hmm.
the night.
Once you open
And
the floodgates, it's hard to stop
I'm
them.
saying once you break that seal, I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with Harry Kane. So I'm really excited. I mean, I know how you're feeling. I know what was going through your mind. You told me you were near tears. So,
God damn, man.
uh,
It's just different for me when Harry Kane scores for Tottenham. You know what I mean? Like there are players that everyone has in their lives that, I mean, for you, obviously it's Heung-min Hun, Heung-min Son, Heung-min Dad. But to see a player like Harry Kane, what he's done for the club, the records that he's been able to set, and just the consistency he's been able to show over the last 7 years or so now. Um, Obviously, it's not like him to go this long without a goal in the Premier League. Obviously, only like we mentioned, only 2 goals so far in the Premier League this season. But man, yeah, I saw that ball go into the back of the net. First of all, I see the beautiful pass from Sanchez to Endom Thickock in the dangerous area near the what I would say about 15, 20 yards outside of the box. Takes a touch, turns around, immediately sees Kane making a run, puts his third leg through it. Beautiful, beautiful through ball. Perfect weight, perfect speed,
mm,
perfect everything on that ball. And when Kane was lining up to shoot it, I think I think at that time, just in the back of my head, I was like, oh God, please, 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 please go in. Please go in. Please go in. Please go in. And then when I saw the ball roll in, it was just relief. Like you mentioned,
yeah.
man. It was just relief because, obviously we've talked about it time and time again. The lack of goals in the Premier League this season, he's getting made fun of by rivals for it. Obviously, it's Harry Kane. He's going to be made fun of no matter what he does. But it just, for me, man, it just means more because it's Harry Kane. I love Harry Kane. I love everything that he's done for the club. Obviously, it's been a little bit of weird times over the past 5 months or so, but yeah, man, just relief, just relief. Let's
How
let's
would
move
how,
on.
I want to ask you something real quick.
Mhm.
How would you have felt if Deli Ali had also scored? I
Oh,
mean,
dude,
that would have been
and
pretty special.
it would have made us go up 2-0, man. It was a 2 goal swing right there. Instead
Mm.
of, I mean, shortly after we mentioned the Diogo Jota goal that chance ended up going in and Liverpool equalized. But right before that, oh man, it would have been so nice to go up 2-0, especially at home with the home crowd backing us throughout the entire match. By the way, I thought the home crowd was brilliant today. Fair play and fair shout to the Tottenham fans who made the trip out to White Hart Lane to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I thought they were fantastic. But yeah, man, if that would have gone in 2-0 up against Liverpool, the home crowd going absolutely nuts. Um, yeah, I desperately wanted that chance to go in, man. But let's keep it with the attackers right now and move on to Hyunmin Son. We mentioned that it took him a really long time to grow into this match. he had so many good chances in that first half, especially the first one that comes to mind was really the Harry Kane breakaway counterattack chance where he pretty much opened up the play for Hyunmin Dad to finish a beautiful cross, which was a pretty much what like a 2v1 situation with one defender back. Allison pretty much being the only other person to really stop that chance.
Mhm.
Harry Kane crosses it into Hyunmin Son, and he just can't get the right touch on it to put it accurately onto the net, onto goal, and it ended up going out for a goal kick. But you look at that chance, you look at the Dele Alli chance. It was just so many opportunities that I think we could have taken advantage of and really run away with this match. We've mentioned before that Conte like teams, they love to put games away. You want to score obviously as many goals to give yourself that cushion, especially against teams like Liverpool. And I mean, we saw it today. Like we just mentioned, it was a 2-goal swing. Instead of being 2-0 up, it ended up being 1-1. And then later on, Andy Robertson um, scored the go-ahead goal to make it 2-1. I think if Dele Alli puts that away, it's a totally different complexion. Same with Hyunmin Son. If he would have put some of those chances away, it would have been a totally different match. But obviously, Hyunmin Son, like we mentioned later on in the second half, did end up getting on the score sheet after taking advantage of an absolute blunder from Allison Becker in net. But yeah, man, what did you think about Hyunmin Son's performance?
You had texted me saying that you were pretty disappointed with his performance thus far, and I replied, "My eyes just won't let me see it." I refuse. I refuse to see the bad of Min Son. I will not see it. So for me, he's on the score sheet. He's our leading scorer. He stayed in the game. You got to stay with it. Sometimes is you got to stay with it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to keep chipping away and chipping, and eventually the ball's gonna land where you want it to, and you're gonna, like we saw, Allison just kind of fucked around with it, and Heung-min Son just staying active and staying proactive in the attack and in the game, and it's just what you'd expect from a guy of his caliber. I'll put it that way. To get on the score sheet, to take advantage of a opportunity that kind of came out of nowhere and out of nothing. It was just bad play on their end, and that's what good teams do. You capitalize on mistakes from your opponents, and that's a promising sign for me to see. Um, yeah, could he have put some of them away? Yeah, I felt there was a for sure one in the first half that a little bit. If Youngman Son's playing on his best day, he's putting that away. I feel
Yeah.
like it's the same thing. Like him and Harry Kane were kind of playing on the same level today. They were just kind of like dun 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 dun, but then not with the na na na. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, they were coming with the na na, but not with the na na na. So for me, it just there's something missing. But Hungman Daddy's always gonna, especially if he gets on the score sheet. He can never do wrong in my eyes.
Yeah, man. Like you mentioned, I was super disappointed until he put the ball into the back of the net because, like we mentioned, I just felt like there were so many chances that on his day, Hyun Min Hung is putting that away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, I was happy to see. First of all, I was happy to see Son, not get too discouraged with the lack of finishing and an end product that he was giving us. But he stuck with it, like you mentioned, and a player like him being in the right place at the right time, getting into those dangerous areas, you're going to get rewarded. I would say 8 times out of 10 if you're a world class player like he is. Um, but for me, when I'm looking at this, just looking at the box score, looking at the goal scored, and looking at the result, it's just so nice to be able to say Harry Kane and Hyun Min Son got on the score sheet for Tottenham Hotspur today. You know what I mean?
Felt right.
It's we haven't been able to say that too many times this season, if at all, I believe. Really only in the Conference League, I think. But I thought, it was obviously a constant theme last year. The Kane and Son show, the Kane and Son show. What are they going to do next? Best Premier League duo of all time, arguably. They're in the record books. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This season, I've desperately wanted to say that, man. Harry Kane and Hyun Min Dad getting on the score sheet together, putting in a very good shift together, and getting a result against a very good side like Liverpool. That is what I love to say on the record on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you can say that, in my eyes, it's a good day and it's a positive day for me. And it was overall. Speaking of positive performances, let's go over who was my BDE of the match. Harry Winks. So Harry Winks did start today. Like we mentioned, it was due to COVID/fitness issues with other players. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg was not in the 18. I believe he's still recovering from COVID-19, but we're not going to put any speculation on that out of respect to the player. And then Oliver Skip was on the bench. He was still coming back from, again, COVID/fitness issues as well. So it gave Harry Winks and Dele Alli an opportunity to show what they could do today. And to be fair, they did very, very well in my opinion. But yeah, man, let's get into Harry Winks. What were your initial reactions? I know we kind of mentioned it earlier on in the podcast. He did give the ball away in some dangerous areas, but as far as the positives go, what was he doing for you that you really, really loved and was really getting a reaction out of you as far as his performance goes today?
I just thought his desire to be forward thinking was something I haven't seen from the guy in a little while.
He looked hungry, huh?
He looked like he had something to prove. And to me, that's what I've been wanting from the guy. I mean, everyone's gonna make mistakes, and I'm sympathetic to that. I'm a man, I make a lot of mistakes. Michael, I'm sure you make your own mistakes. Like,
No, for sure.
we all make mistakes. I mean, that's gonna happen. And I think in any game, you're gonna make mistakes. Even the perfect specimen of a human, young man daddy, he's gonna make mistakes. So for me, I always felt like the mistakes were coming with Harry Winks. Like when he's out there, the mistakes are gonna come. And we saw that. But I mean, how does someone counteract that, right? You got to counteract that with just constantly being on the front foot, trying to push forward, be forward thinking. And for me, he had some amazing passes that gave us attacking opportunities to threaten Liverpool. I mean, if you're not threatening Liverpool, we kind of saw what happened. There was about 20 minutes there where they were just playing all over the field, all over us, right? I
Mhm.
mean, and you can see how they just take control of a game and start making you play their game. And I thought the difference that Harry Winks made for the game was stopping it at times and then also creating a beautiful countering opportunity. I thought he did that great. And he had a lot of hustle. He was running with purpose, and he's
Yeah.
not the biggest lad, but if you throw your body around out there, you can put some weight on folks. So for me, that's what stood out the most. I would say I don't know if I loved any of it. I would say this is what he should be doing if
Hmm.
he wants to play for Tottenham Hotspur, right? Or else you can go to the championship and play that shit ball you were playing before. But he's playing motivated. I mean, the same thing with Ben Davies. He's playing motivated. These
Hmm.
guys that we were just always what on the fringe with, or that we were ready to cut ties with. Now all of a sudden, with a world class manager, they play like they got a dick. So for me, I love it. Like I've always said, and I've said this on the live stream. I'm pretty sure I've said it on the pod. I'm not sure. Uh, it's I will never want bad for a Tottenham Hotspur player. We may rag on them, we may talk our shit and make our jokes, right? But at the end of the day, they play for my club. I want them to succeed. Their success is my club's success.
Yep.
Their failure is my club's failure. So we're justified in the shit that we talk, but we do also give credit where credit's due. And quite frankly, Harry Winks was a difference maker. Um, the only reason I didn't pick him for my BDE is I felt there was a couple opportunities where I'm just like, God damn it, Harry Winks. I knew
Yeah.
you'd do that. I knew you'd do that. So that's the only reason. Other than that, that's why I picked Hugo. I just felt like Hugo did what Hugo does, and I love it.
Yeah. I think if you ask me to describe Harry Winks's performance in one word, I think I would say havoc, just like causing havoc in the midfield,
Yeah, yeah.
disrupting play when he needed to, staying organized along with the rest of the midfield when they needed to as well. You mentioned there were short periods throughout the match where Liverpool really really dominated the game, and you could tell they really had a lot of control.
Hmm.
And I think being staying organized in that midfield and with the back line was crucial to being able to not concede more goals against just the caliber that Liverpool will bring week in and week out, especially in the Premier League these days. If Harry Winks and Dele Alli don't put in the shifts that they did today, I think we lose maybe 4-2. If the chances, stayed the same for us, or I guess the result of the chances stayed the same for us,
Yeah.
I think it could have been like 3 or 4-2 in favor of Liverpool. But I think that's how much of a difference they both made. For me, with Harry Winks, like I mentioned, I just think of havoc. He was creating havoc in that midfield. He was disrupting play for Liverpool. He was diving into tackles. He was making things happen. You mentioned his forward thinking and his forward passes. I agree with you, man. I thought they were excellent today. And like I mentioned before, the only issue I had with his performance was just giving balls away in dangerous areas. Once he cuts that out, at least most of it from his game, it's just going to be night and day. But between his old performances and his typical performances and what we've been seeing from him lately. So for me, like you mentioned, a lot of positives. I'm not going to complain whatsoever because of what we've seen from him. And I thought, like you mentioned also, Jacob, it looked like he had something to prove. And we've seen it time and time again, especially in the Conference League matches. Players like Harry Winks, players like Dele Alli, players like even Endom Thickock having their having their chances to impress Antonio Conte and really make a case for them to challenge for a starting 11 spot. We haven't really seen that so far early on in the season, but you put in shifts like this against teams like Liverpool, you have to be in a debate for a starting 11 spot moving forward. And I know that Højbjerg and Skip were unfortunate to miss out because I'm sure it wasn't in their control. But moving forward, when I'm looking at who I think could be challenging to be inserted in that 11, I think Conte likes Skip and Højbjerg too much to drop either of them. But I think if you're going to drop one and bring one in from this match, a midfielder that is, I think you look at. I mean, we've talked about it before. If you're going to drop one of Højbjerg and Skip, who will it be? And I think we've both kind of been on that same wavelength where I think I got to drop Højbjerg, unfortunately. If we're putting someone in that 11 and taking out Højbjerg, I think I'm going to pick Dele Alli right now, just because of the performance that he had, because he didn't give as many opportunities away in dangerous areas than Harry Winks did. But I think you could make a case for either one of them to be in a starting 11 position moving forward. But like I mentioned, I think Conte likes Højbjerg too much to drop him, unfortunately. But but yeah, man, a lot of good performances today that we were able to see, and God, it's just nice to have Tottenham back, man. I'm sure I know you agree with me, but it was just so nice to be able to wake up and actually have a football match to look forward to. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like we mentioned, the last match we played was December 5th. We hadn't played in 3 matches in all competitions, Europa League and Premier League competitions combined. It's been 3 matches, man, of no Tottenham Hotspur in my life. I'm just glad that they're back.
I can't overstate how much it meant just to have them back on
Yeah,
because I mean, I was waking up 2 hours before the match started, checking to see if I should just go back to sleep or what I should do. Um, it's great to have that to look forward to. I mean, even my wife earlier this week was just like, "What's wrong with you? Is it because Tottenham Hotspur is not playing? Are you serious?" And I say, "Yeah, it's serious. It's like living in a place where there's not much sun. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You need your dose." And unfortunately, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to Tottenham Hotspur and I love it and I wouldn't change any of it. So for me, I'm just so thankful. I mean, honestly, I woke up and when the game went ahead, I was like, well, I'm preparing for like a 3-1 loss. That's kind of
yeah.
where I was at. And the fact that we got a 2-2 draw, big up the fucking lads.
Big up the fucking lads, indeed. Real quick before we move forward to the looking at the next match for Tottenham, um, VAR controversies, man. I know there was plenty of them throughout the game. I think there were decisions that went in the in favor of both sides at points. Um, but yeah, man, let's dive into it for a little bit before we move on to what lies ahead for Tottenham in the near future. Obviously, we had I think 3 big controversies throughout the match. There was the Harry Kane challenge that ended up being a yellow card on Andrew Robertson. Dove in a little bit late into that challenge. Had one foot up, almost took out Robertson's leg. To be fair, if he didn't jump, I think it could have been a lot worse. Got away with the yellow card. A lot of people, especially Liverpool fans, will say that it should have been a red. Me personally, I think it was hard to tell. I think because he went in, and I think there was still a slight chance that he could have won the ball or won something from that, I guess that tackle. I think for me, I think the yellow card, I would lean more towards the yellow card decision than a red card. But I could definitely see why Liverpool fans were pushing and complaining for a red card. I don't know what your thoughts were on that specific review.
I'm gonna put it to you bluntly, simply, and very, very easily. Fuck them. I agree with the ref. It was a tough game. There were nicky nacky tacky fouls going on all throughout that game. Motherfuckers sliding around. So for me,
Fuck them.
fuck them, bro. If it went the other way, now if you're asking me as like a non-biased person, you're asking me my opinion. I say, shit, sucks to suck, bro.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
I
But
think we've seen so many of those decisions go not in our way. You know what I mean? That
yeah, that it's like
now that
finally.
when it did go our way, I'm like, dude, I could care less
And
because
hearing
any
Jurgen
other day,
complain is like,
any other day, that might be a red. You know what I mean? For as far as Tottenham goes, like those are some of the decisions that usually never go our way. So for him not to be sent off, I think I kind of had the same reaction too, man. Like deep down, I was just like, sucks to fucking suck.
and I kind of felt the same way about the reviewed red card that their player got against us. I kind of felt like, I mean, it was a dangerous tackle, and typically we don't get those chance. Typically those things happen, and I'm like, what the fuck? No one's gonna do nothing about that. What the fuck's going on? Like, this is madness. And just kind of the same old story, right? Oh, the ref didn't call this in this minute, and this affected the game that way. And it just kind of felt like that could have happened. But man, we were on the if there's a team that gets worse VAR calls than us, or equal to, it would be Liverpool. They do get some shitty VAR calls. And to see Jurgen like complaining and crying about it and moaning after game in his post game comments,
Injected.
uh bring it, baby. You won the league. I don't feel bad.
Hmm.
You have a great squad. One of the first things he said was, "Oh, but they were very rested, and we were just coming off of a game." It's like, so, so you got Mohamed Salah, a guy that people were wanting to see win the balloon Dior, whatever the fuck it's called. And so for me, like, you got a game changer. You got a bunch of different pieces. You got your best goalkeeper. Like, I mean, we're missing players. Kind of same thing we were talking about earlier.
Hmm.
It's just like, I ain't trying to hear it, bro. And if anything, it's funny. It's funny to me because, like you said, we've been in the opposite position too many times, and just feels good to be on this side of the fence.
Yeah, there was another VAR decision that went our way, which was the Diogo Jota pen or no pen decision and debate that was going on. He went down in the box. Could it have been a pen? I think so. Was it a pen? No. We move. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's kind of the same thing with the first one. I don't give a fuck. See ya.
And, and
We'll be
and
seeing you.
and also, I mean, think about it. Their second goal came off of something that our players were fighting for, saying that, hey, we should have get VAR to take a look at it. And then it also happened again with Winksy, I think, right there on the edge of the box. And VAR checks those things.
Yep.
And if they see something that they're like, okay, this don't make no sense, then they're gonna do something about it. So to me, Diego Jota, I heard Jurgen saying that the ref told him that he felt Diogo was like going to for the contact and just let it happen. I mean, when you watch it real time, it's really hard to make that call.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those. How many times have I seen one of our guys go down in a box and I feel like, hey, VAR should review it? I mean, and he's there on the pitch. Who knows how great his view is of that far away, right?
Hmm.
So for me, the ref's right there. The ref's gonna, and we got video review. So like they're gonna get it right. Hopefully, if they're not like, Manchester City or Man United, those guys will get whatever they want. But yeah, man, it's just great to get it going our way. It felt real nice.
Yeah, man. And then the last VAR decision that was somewhat controversial, in my opinion, I don't think it really was in the 77th minute, where Andy Robertson it looked like he just took a big old whack at Emerson Royale's left leg with his strong foot, no less. Went absolutely threw him. I thought it was cynical as fuck. I was actually really pissed off because I thought he could have broken Emerson Royale's leg. I thought it was that bad. So he basically, Andy Robertson swung through Emerson Royale's left leg, like we mentioned. He ended up getting a red card after VAR, after the VAR check was complete. And that was about it, though, as far as VAR reviews go. So there were calls in favor of both teams. You could make an argument too that Mohamed Salah had a handball leading up to that Andy Robertson go ahead goal as well. But like you mentioned, man, fuck them, and we move on, and we do move on. Next
That's it.
matchup for Tottenham Hotspur in their hectic, busy schedule in this festive season is actually the Carabao Cup Quarter Final against none other than the scum West Ham United on Wednesday, December 22nd. That will be in 3 days' time. Obviously, a lot to play for in this match. I think this is a cup competition that Tottenham can certainly challenge for, nonetheless. Um, and there are also talks we will mention. We'll talk about it right now. There are talks right now of amongst Premier League clubs to possibly delay the whole next set of Premier League fixtures, which will be next Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Tottenham have Crystal Palace at home at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So again, keep an eye out on social media. We'll update you guys when we can, but there are talks right now to possibly delay the next round of fixtures in the Premier League. But yeah, man, Carabao Cup match on Wednesday next up for Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, a lot of positives to build upon on this Liverpool match. It's going to be a hell of a game, man. It's going to be a London derby, obviously. There's going to be a lot to play for, and like I mentioned, in my opinion, I think it's a cup competition that Tottenham certainly can win.
It definitely is, especially if you look at the top clubs that I think would challenge us or scare me at least on the sheet. I think they're going to have their eyes set on bigger competitions, especially with all these games starting to pile up. I think their eyes are going to be set on bigger fish and leave a little bit of littler fish for us. And isn't that just great? So for me, uh, West Ham Splammers, West Ham Hammers, West Glam Glammers, whatever you want to call them, fuck them. I never want them to win. Never against us. The most painful memory in recent history was under Jose Mourinho when they came back from we were up 3-0 and they came back and tied it. Absolute cock rocket at the end there. So for me, I hope nothing but bad for this club and their results. So it's a big game, man. It's a London derby, and I always want to win every. I think you know this. I want to win every trophy that we can win. That's just how I feel. The only trophy I will be okay with not winning this year is the Premier League title, just because I feel like it's not attainable. While
Mhm.
top four may still be and still up for debate, um, but for me, this is a big time win. We need it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. If we get a result in this competition against a team like West Ham in the form that they've been so far this season in the Premier League, I'll definitely take it, man. They're definitely a formidable opponent this season. They've definitely improved a lot under David Moyes. But to be fair, so have we under Conte. And like you mentioned, I'm expecting to go out there and try to win every match that we play, and I'm expecting the players to give their all for the badge. Any final thoughts, my friend?
I love Youngman Son. Also, I don't know if they ever happen to listen to this, but there's on Tottenham Hotspur's Twitch channel, there's a guy named Matt and a guy named Rebecca. They had a 24-hour live stream for charity. It was pretty cool. I tuned in as much as I could. Just kind of chat in the chat. There's a whole community there in the chat. Someone even bought us because it's United Spurs of America. That's the account I was using on Twitter, Twitch, excuse me. And this guy gave us a one month sub as a gift just because we were chatting it up, and we actually won some stuff. We were chatting it up with them. They were talking about us, asking where we're from, and it was just a good time. So if you two happen to be out there listening, or anyone from the Twitch chat family of Tottenham Hotspur, big shout out to you guys. It's been a lot of fun. We'll try to keep that thing going because it's a lot of. I mean, honestly, I know I'm pretty old, and so this Twitch thing is like not my whole realm of understanding because I'm a little
Hmm.
bit older. But man, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun
It
just getting
is.
in there bullshitting with people and talking. And they had a whole 24-hour live stream with these two folk, and man, big ups to them. That was a hell of a marathon.
Yeah, for sure, man. And hopefully we have lots of positives to talk about the next time we do record a podcast after the West Ham United match in the Carabao Cup, like we mentioned. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in today to another edition of the United Spurs of America podcast. We do have a Tottenham away live stream this week on Tuesday that will be at 12:30 Mountain Time, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time if you're in the US, and if you're in the UK, that will be 7:30 p.m. Your time as well. So please go check us out on there.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
mentioned, this Tuesday on Tottenham Away's YouTube and Facebook pages, we'll be there. We'll be talking with the fans as we always do. If you're coming from that live stream and listening to this podcast, appreciate all the support on both of those channels. And I know it's something that we look forward to every week. So please stay tuned on there. We will be live on, like we mentioned, on Tottenham
Oh,
Away's
that's
YouTube channel on Tuesday. And
yeah.
yeah, man, it'll be fun. It'll
That's
be
gonna be a
fun. We're
fun
excited.
episode. Hey, because we were all pretty much in the same boat last week. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Previewing a game that we didn't end up playing, but we have a game to talk about. It's gonna be a good stream. So again, we did move those streams off from Friday. So if you were used to tuning in on Fridays, we did move those to Tuesdays. Works a little bit better for everyone. Hopefully we can bring you a better show. But yeah, man, big shout out and up to anyone who listens to this, who's been listening to us. Shout out all our listeners, wherever you are, however you're tuning in, connect with us, engage with us. We're on Twitter all the time. Shoot us a DM. You want to collab? Let's collab. I've been just kind of engaging with a lot of people out there, and man, Spurs community is pretty thick and it's pretty full, and I love these guys.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Twitter. Like Jacob mentioned, we'll be there. We'll be there interacting with fans. And like Jacob also mentioned, we've been loving all the support from the Spurs community lately. Thank you guys so much. But until then, for Jacob, I'm Michael. Again, another positive performance today from Tottenham Hotspur. A lot of positives to talk about on Tuesday as well on the live stream. We'll see you then. And until then, up the lads. And Jacob,
Come on, you Spurs.
Coys. See you next time. Have a good one.